All right, so we all know about the Lindsay Clancy situation. Um, you know, it is unfortunate with these medications can do to a person's mental state, and couple that on things like postpartum depression, a sad state of affairs. But I mean, at the end of the day, she still did something heinous, and she has to pay for her crimes. Shout out to Actual Justice Warrior. We got a video. People are defending Lindsay Clancy. Let's get in this.
Trial is going to be one of the most significant trials of your lifetime. We're all experiencing something completely unprecedented. Never before have we seen so many mothers and women rally behind somebody who confessed to killing her 3 children. And it is not because we cannot hold women accountable. Many of us see ourselves in Lindsay.
So there's an old saying that everybody loves a murder mystery.
That's kind of a crazy thing to say, that you see yourself in a woman who killed her 3 kids. I get the sentiment. I understand what she's trying to say, what she's trying to convey, but take that logic and apply it to any other thing. Somebody was like, yeah, I sympathize with John Wayne Gacy. I'm one bad day away from being the next John Wayne Gacy. People look at you like, you need to be locked up. What are you talking about?
But what if you have a murder or a triple homicide and there is in fact no mystery behind it? What if you have a confession from the person who did it? What if you have her attorneys arguing in court that she did in fact do it? The prosecution is pretty damn sure that she did it. The evidence all points to this woman definitely doing it, and yet you have a bunch of people on the internet.com crafting a mystery around this, trying to make this into something that it's not, trying to blame the husband, who by the way was sent away as a part of this murder plot by Lindsay Clancy. Yes, is the story that we're talking about today, and yet still on the internet.com you have people saying it's a murder mystery. In fact, the husband did it, they've solved the mystery, and yeah, this is yet another example of the vast mental illness that is going on in the true crime community. And by the way, this is very reminiscent of what is going on with the Charlie Kirk case, which is being promoted by Candace Owens. Just did a video, by the way, about the Andrew Wilson Candace Owens show of a debate on this channel. I'll link that in the description so you can get a little bit more on my thoughts on that. And
I was going to talk about that too, since he brought that up real quick. I watched that whole debate. I came away from it not fully satisfied with either side fully supporting their initial claim. The initial claim that there was overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson did it, and Candace's claim that Tyler Robinson was a patsy. I was not satisfied with either's evidence toward their claims. I do think Candace Owens did better in the debate. I think she was better prepared, but we'll talk about that in another video.
yeah, this is the same exact thing. A lot of times these are the same exact audience members because these people are convinced that Lindsay Clancy absolutely did not do it, or if she did do it, then she was justified because women be depressed after they give birth. And yeah, it's horrific. It's disgusting. It's reprehensible. It's absolutely...
No, hold up though. I see what he's trying to do here. He's trying to equate the women defending the people defending Lindsay Clancy to the people who think there's more to the Charlie Kirk case, and I think that's false equivalence. I don't think that's a good comparison. I don't think that's a fair analogy. There is definitely 100% something fishy about Charlie Kirk's death. At the very least, I don't agree with everything Candace Owens says about the case, but at the very least, some of it deserves looking into further to take the official narrative. And I mean, why are we taking the official narrative anyways? All these government agencies do is lie to us constantly about everything. Why would we believe the official narrative on this? Why wouldn't we at least look a little bit further into things that look fishy? And Candace Owens on her channel, like I said, I don't agree with everything she says, but some of her evidence, I mean, she's coming up with tidbits and pieces of evidence that make this more compelling. It's obviously, I don't know if everything she's saying is true, but something is off about it. it definitely merits more looking into. So him making this comparison is not fair.
Crazy, and yet it still goes on. And in fact, they're trying to raise $2 million for this woman yesterday when I checked, and it could be worse at this moment in time, but yesterday they were at $700,000, and this is all due to the fact that left-wing women on TikTok, true crime fanatics, true crime mystery engineers who have engineered a mystery where there was not one, have decided that Lindsay Clancy is either justified or secretly not guilty. So this is what we're going to talk about today. This is what we're going to discuss, but before we do, I want to thank everybody who supports this channel via actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay?
So I have to cut the audio of this because there's a copyrighted song, but for those of you who are listening...
Hold on, let me move my ugly ass face out of this a little bit. Hold on.
The podcast, they're saying that this woman is sitting in court while the real perpetrator, and the camera ends up panning to her husband who's testifying, is actually the one who's on the stand right now, and she is just forced to accept this. Now, of course, this is not reality, people. This is not what happened, and if you're unfamiliar...
Quick side note, it's worth mentioning that he has remarried since then. This happened in 2023, so yeah, he's not her husband anymore.
Lindsay Clancy's story and how much of a non-mystery it is, let me break it down for you. So Lindsay Clancy is a woman who, according to doctors, was experiencing some form of postpartum depression or postpartum psychosis. She was prescribed a bunch of different medications for that, in fact, an insane amount of medications for that, and there were warning signs prior to her committing the murders that she was going through some kind of mental issue. Now, whether you put any stock in that is irrelevant at this moment in time, but what you need to know is that her defense attorneys right now are not arguing for a not guilty by reason of insanity. They're actually arguing for mitigating factors based on the history that this woman had with mental issues after giving birth to her third child. And by the way, if you guys are unfamiliar, Lindsay Clancy murdered all 3 of her children. And even though she was supposedly mentally ill, not of sound mind of judgment, she managed to get her husband out of the house by, I believe, making an order for food or something of the sort where he had to leave to go pick it up. And then she brought her 3 children down to the basement and strangled them one by one in brutal fashion while the other ones watched their siblings die. Then Lindsay Clancy decided that she wanted to end her own life in a murder-suicide, triple murder-suicide plot, so she jumped out of a second-story window and she was paralyzed, and from that moment in time, the true crime moms decided that she was a sympathetic figure and it could not possibly be her fault, because how could we assign any responsibility for a horrific murder like this to...
Bro, that's wild. She slit both her wrists and her neck, if I'm not mistaken, and jumped out a window and survived. Like, you, it's not funny, but damn, like, God was like, no, you are gonna pay for these crimes. You're staying in that mortal coil. You're staying on that plane of existence. You got things to answer for. You ain't going nowhere. But it's hard for the defense to argue that, this is just a mental break and a case of insanity, which I'm sure that played a role into it. But the problem is the prosecution is trying to argue that she actually planned these killings. And then when you look at some of the stuff she did, it's kind of undeniable. Like, there's really no getting out of it. You can't plead insanity and say that she did not plan this whatsoever. She didn't orchestrate this whatsoever. When she sent him out to the store, she took them to another room in the house, to the basement. She found a tool that would make what she was trying to do more efficient. It's hard to argue that this was just a case of insanity, that she didn't plan this out whatsoever.
Person who admittedly committed said murder. Now look, I could explain this in a much longer format. I could go over the finer details of the case. I could talk about what was used in the strangulation and all sorts of other things. I could talk about how much she is paralyzed and all those additional details, but the fact is, the people who are crafting the narrative that it was the husband and not Lindsay Clancy do not care about any of that information. In fact, a lot of these people are basing their assessment of guilt and innocence, and I'm not joking about this. There's zodiac signs. So according to them, Lindsay is a Leo mother. She was born with the moon rising in whatever field, I don't really care. And because Leo mothers don't kill their own children, and Gemini men, which by the way, her husband at the time was a Gemini man or is a Gemini man, do kill their children, therefore, Lindsay is innocent. And if you don't believe me, there are multiple videos breaking this down, and I'm just gonna play a little bit of them for you so you can see the insanity for yourself.
Okay, check this out. It's really crazy. Lindsay Clancy's birth chart. It's so crazy. Now, I don't have the time of birth, so really, you can disregard the ascendant, descendant, IC, MC, vertex, and all the houses. I need the birth time. So, like, not all of these aspects are necessarily true, because all those points, we don't really know. I just put it at noon. But, first of all, I need to show.
What? And her Laura being an Aquarius is exactly what she needed. I did Patrick, and he has Gemini stellium, and if you place his birth time at 6 a.m., it's in the 12th. I will not stop shouting about this. He could also be an 8th house stellium. Alright, like, I'm not trying to be somebody who shits on astrology, especially, a man who shits on astrology. How original. I try to keep an open mind about stuff. And maybe there's some validity to stuff as far as predicting personality traits, but they're saying that because of his astrological signs that he killed the kids? What?
So, notice anything here?
Most people have no idea they can get ready to post content the minute they stop recording with Riverside. So I opened the...
Got a North Node Aquarius, South Node Leo. She's in her noble return right now.
It's been a while, but I have to pop on here just to say that I've been following this Lindsay Clancy trial, especially as a mother of two who dealt with a lot of postpartum mental illness. And, just following all their birth charts and birthdays and zodiac signs. He did it. He did it. He's a Gemini man.
I like how she prefaced that with like, yeah, I'm also a mother and I have mental illness.
His birthday is June 15th. I'm a Gemini woman. My birthday is June 14th. Let me give you another example.
Hold on. Oh, so you just admitted to having mental illness, and you also said that since he's a Gemini man, he likely killed his kids, but you're a Gemini woman, so what are you saying? What are you saying?
Of who a Gemini man is. Also birthday June 14th. Men and women are different. Keep that in mind. Please don't judge me. Donald Trump.
Of course. Yeah, men and women are different. So Gemini men are psychotic killers, but Gemini women, we're different. It's okay. I didn't know Donald Trump was a Gemini, but she's trying to use this as proof that this dude killed his kids. What is happening here?
Patrick did it. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Now, I do appreciate that second woman adding to the fact that these are mostly left-wing women that are involved in this by saying that Donald J. Trump, evil bad orange man, or Trump bad,
Simply hearing Trump bad,
was born on June.
Hey, leave Anna Kay alone. I like Anna Kay, bro. She be bringing the heat. Don't mess with Anna Kay.
Therefore, obviously, this proves that this guy is, in fact, the killer. Now, of course, she exempts herself from this. She's like, I'm a Gemini woman. That's completely different. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Obviously, the stars have aligned in such a way to make this woman exempt from her own craziness. But yeah, obviously, Patrick, the husband, he's the one who did it. And the proof is he was born on June 15th, and she's a Leo mom. And Leo moms always protect their cubs. And by the way, some people have tried to argue against this on their terms by saying that lions actually will kill their own cubs from time to time, but the fact is you're trying to inject any kind of rationality into this thought process where it's no longer present. And by the way, if you think that that is the limits of the, oh my god, the stars indicate who's guilty and who's innocent, you're just wrong, because it keeps going on, and you'll see these comments all over the internet.
So if you're watching the Lindsay Clancy case, I've already gone over the forensic astrology charts that show that the perpetrator is a male. The perpetrator is having
Forensic astrology. I've never heard of this before. Is this like a legitimate thing? Does the FBI or law enforcement use forensic astrology to catch people? How did this become a thing? Who deems themselves a forensic astrologer? How do you do that? How do you get qualified? What school did you go to?
And that the victims, specifically Lindsay, was drugged during this. And I've also gone over with the theory and the lie detection.
So I like that this woman has forensic astrologer and death investigator as her two titles. Of course, death investigator is not an official title. She's just an idiot with a TikTok platform. Again, somebody who's trying to raise money for a murderous woman who murdered her 3 children and then tried to opt out of life but was too incompetent to do so by jumping out of a second-story window. And she's like, I've already broken all this stuff down. It's a long-running series, guys. I don't know if you guys know. It's kind of like the Candace Owens show. She's already given all this information on her podcast before, on her TikTok lives, and you just gotta trust her, because as soon as she saw this man, as soon as she knew who he was and what his sign was and where his moon was rising, guess what? Obviously guilty.
I'm telling you all right now, when the South Node goes into Cancer in March of 2028, the South Node is going to transit over Patrick Clancy's moon in Cancer. He's going to be having eclipses over his natal.
Bro, I know her boyfriend just be looking at her like, shut the fuck up. He probably just be sitting there staring at the wall like,
yeah, again, I'm not an expert on astrology. I happen to have a functioning IQ. I happen to not be stupid like these women are, but these are the actual legitimate arguments that they're putting forward to say that Patrick was the killer and ignore the fact that this woman confessed to being the killer. Now, of course, there's also therapists, like I played at the open of this, that are saying, look, we all understand as women exactly what she was going through, and it's just understandable and a part of womanhood that sometimes you kill all 3 of your children and then try to kill yourself, and then the internet says it was your husband.
Well, to be fair, to give a little pushback and defend not the crazier claims of these apparently only women defending her, but what they're saying is that postpartum depression is absolutely a real thing, and we should be more cognizant of that and support mothers after they've just given birth. That's 100% a valid thing. But to say, it's one thing to say that, and then it's another thing to say things like, I could be the next Lindsay Clancy. We're very much alike. I don't think she did it. I think her husband did it. Those are 2 separate trains of thought. So some of these women, I think they're trying to veer toward postpartum care, which is a great thing to advocate for. But they're towing a line and they're going into fucking cuckoo land.
No. That we could have been only one step away from doing some of those horrific things because we experienced significant mental health issues after one of our children was born. And many of us know just how dark some of those thoughts get. So yeah, this is gonna be one of the most significant trials of your lifetime.
But
no, it won't be. What's going to be
Imagine
significant
being able to build an app
is
with your name on
the
it. Just by thinking about
response
it.
to the
Meet
trial.
Base
The
44.
trial itself
But
is
yeah,
pretty
this
cut
is-
and dry because she said they did it. Everyone agrees that she killed the children. Now they're just trying to determine if she was in her right mind when she did it. But which makes this such a notable case, other than it's just a horrible tragedy, is that all of these people are defending her.
Mental illness in the true crime community. And by the way, I actually experienced this firsthand when I took my wife to CrimeCon in Nashville a couple of years ago, and I actually sat in on panels with women like this and noticed how insane they are, because no matter what the case was, no matter what the facts of the case was, they were trying to actively engineer a mystery. No matter what the topic, when they were prompted to ask questions to the people doing the panel, without fail, they would allege some kind of police conspiracy or some kind of conspiracy of some sort being the true thing behind the case. That was the subject of the conversation. And even though this didn't make any sense to anybody who's thinking rationally, all the other women, and this was majority older women with Nancy Grace haircuts or the cut from John and Kate plus 8, they would be like, oh yeah, that's such a good idea. That's such an amazing idea. And that's when
you would think with how into forensic science and crime and murder scenes and true crime and unsolved mysteries that a lot of these women are, that they would understand that this particular case is pretty straightforward, that there ain't no bigger conspiracy.
firsthand that these women exist. They are in full force. They are not just online. They will show up to events in person, and they're just as crazy, if not more crazy, when you're around them and actually talk to them. Also, at one of these events, they ended up shipping in a wine cart to the back of the room, and they announced it, and all these women got up to rush to get the wine. And the other thing that I learned about them is that they're too slow. Middle-aged women can't keep up, because I was able to blitz all them bitches, grab wine for me and for my wife so that we could get the wine, and I was just really unimpressed by their speed. No athleticism among this group, as well as crazy conspiracy minds among all of them. And again, I really need you guys to understand that these women are turned on by the idea of a conspiracy. True crime is their whole life, and by the way, making true crime more interesting is an intricate part of their obsession with true crime. And these are the same exact people that back all the innocence fraud cases. Again, we talked about all the crazy conspiracies they follow based on the Innocence Project directing them in that direction. They're the same people that, again, in large part are obsessed with the idea that Tyler Robinson did not kill Charlie Kirk. And yeah, this is a reprehensible side.
Again, unfair comparison. Unfair comparison. There's definitely more to the Charlie Kirk case. This ain't much more to it. Charlie Kirk, there's more.
Of humanity. It's absolutely disgraceful. And again, without pause, without hesitation, these women with professions, some of them are absolutely crucial, including therapists, including people who deal with children, including mothers, will say that they totally understand Lindsay Clancy if they believe that she was guilty, but she is justified because of what she was going through mentally, or they'll say that she's innocent and it was definitely the man because they can't assign accountability to a woman for her actions no matter what. And yes, this is very troubling. This is something that should be concerning, and I just want to remind you that in this case, there is no ambiguity about the facts of the case, about who did it.
Plus, I hate to do this, I hate to be that guy, but you can't help but wonder, let's say he did kill the children, and he claimed insanity, and he says that he wasn't in the right state of mind, would he have this same defense? Would anyone come to his defense? Would he have this same outcry of people who just convinced he didn't do it? Would they blame Lindsay? Probably not.
Again, Lindsay Clancy admits to doing it. Her lawyers are arguing that she did it, but it should be mitigated. The evidence shows that she did it. The husband says that she did it. The prosecution, the police, everybody involved says that she did it. And yet they're still trying to create a mystery around this. They're still trying to get her off. They still want her to be free because, oh my God, how could we ever hold a woman accountable for murdering 3 of her children, for intricately planning the murder of all 3 of her children? Now, of course, that's my opinion. That's my speculation. I know a lot of you are thinking out there that those are false allegations and not facts.
False allegations and not facts.
Because of course, obviously, the zodiac signs show us something completely different.
Which is home, family, emotions, his emotional life. And then it gets better. 2029, all the way to 2030. He is
false allegations.
The South Node is going to move over his sun, his Mercury retrograde, his Venus retrograde. It's about to get really interesting.
Man, I'm done. I'm not trying to hear her. I don't even know what she's talking about. Yeah, man. Like I said, this is a tragic case. But at the end of the day, she did what she did, and she has to face consequences. No debate about that. And I think it's pretty clear that maybe she had a mental break. Maybe it was insanity at play, but she definitely premeditated these things because of the amount of planning that went into it. So, it is what it is. Shout out to Actual Justice Warrior. This was a crazy one, but hey, the interesting thing about the internet is that you can always find an audience to go against the popular narrative. right? If you go outside, if 98% of people say the sky is blue, you can find a community online somewhere that legitimately believes the sky is red, and they'll just argue it with whatever bullshit that comes to their mind. But anyways, I'm out of here. I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one.